turning our attention to company news over in Kenya. We just last week heard that shareholders approved the 1-for-10 split of the KenolKobil share in Kenya, effective June the 1st this year. This move aiming to create more liquidity and a greater affordability of the share at the bourse, to offer this opportunity for more ordinary investors to actually invest in the company. But what's driving all the interest in the first place? Group Managing Director of KenolKobil, Segman, joins me now to put the company and its operations under the microscope. Jacob, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Well, at last week's AGM, management briefed shareholders that it expects better financial results this year, particularly in the first half. What's fueling all the optimism?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Yeah, we did have the opportunity to discuss this matter with our shareholders, and we were asked on our forward looking for the company performance. We were quite confidently optimistic about the first half. As you know, we have already by now a full integrated system, so we can see results in real time. So by the time we met, we had almost 4.5 months indications, and they are quite positive, I would say strong. I would even add and say that it is beyond our budget and expectations. So to summarize, we are very optimistic about the first half.
One would have to assume that lower financing costs will have to also start playing a role in that. We've seen the Central Bank of Kenya's message to commercial banks to lower their lending rates seeming to now be heard. Yeah,
I'm sure you noticed that one of our main cost item is financing cost, and that includes, of course, exchange gain and loss. In 2008, it was quite a substantial amount, actually close to 1.5 billion, which is slightly over $20 million US. That was quite a tall order on the company, and early in 2009, we set our main objective to try and reduce our financing cost. You need to understand KenolKobil operates in about 7-8 countries, so we are kind of multi-currency trading company, and of course we are vulnerable to local currency movements against one currency that we deal with, one hard currency that we deal with, which is US dollars. And needless to say, you know, oil is traded in US dollar. So this year, in 2009, we focused on it, we improved, and we actually brought down the financing cost by about 70% or so. And as regards to the financing cost overall in Kenya, yes, we are quite happy that the interest rate has been coming down from highs of almost 16-17% to currently around, I would say, 5% or so. That makes our expected financing cost going forward to come down.
Well, that of course spelling good news not only for your operations locally, but for your rest of Africa expansion agenda as well. While that has brought some good news with it, there are quite a few stumbling blocks as well. I mean, your expansion hasn't been all smooth sailing, and striving for a larger share of the Southern African oil market, you've run into headwinds in Zimbabwe. What's exactly playing out there?
Yeah, in Zimbabwe, as you said, we have experienced a headwind, and we somehow realized that it is much more complex than what we thought. It is mainly in view of the local rules, a new one which is to do with the indigenization plan. Our application, which was jointly done with the Engine of South Africa, was submitted to the government at the same time when this all new black empowerment program was pushed within the coalition government. But we are not that pessimistic about Zimbabwe. For KenolKobil, we believe we will be there. Yes, it is part of our going south strategy. Zimbabwe for us is a strategic country where we want to operate. We very much believe in the long-term future of Zimbabwe. Actually, we are very optimistic about Southern, Eastern, and Central Africa long-term economic performance.
In Zimbabwe specifically, I mean, financial analysts reckon that KenolKobil will have to cede significant shareholding to Zimbabwean investors for the deal to actually go through. Is that an option, or will you simply let go altogether?
It is an option. Actually, we expressed our interest to share the business or the investment with the local partners. I want to inform you that we already submitted a new offer for the 100% of Shell and BP. And if we do get through the full process and we will be selected by Shell BP, I believe we will be able to reach an agreement with the government and government authorities. And I believe that there are quite strong and reputable players, local players in the Zimbabwean downstream oil business. We want to reach an agreement. We are willing to seize some of our holdings if we do get the business. And we probably have to find a common ground. Whether it's going to be majority given to locals or not, we'll find a way. We will find a formula that will satisfy both parties. That's our objective.